Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the course Nutrition for the Family. This is the second module, that is dietary recommendations. This is the third lecture in which we shall be studying about food guides. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Associate Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In the previous lecture, we had studied about the concept of food groups, in which we studied that what are food groups, then we studied what is the importance of food groups, and then we studied three types in which we can classify the foods into different groups. In this lecture, we will move ahead and we will understand the concept of food guides. What are food guides and what are different types of food guides and their uses? The maintenance of good health, it depends upon the amount and the type of food which we choose, and it will affect our health performance. In the last lecture, we have seen that how we can divide the foods based on either the type of function they perform inside our body, or on the basis of the major nutrients they contain, or on certain basic characteristics of food. And on the basis of this information, we can plan our meals, let us say lunch, our dinner, our snack, etc. And if the selection of food is good, we provide good fuel to our body. So, therefore, we need to know what type of food is to be included, from which food group it should be included, and in what amount we should select to ensure good health. In this process, we take the help of food guide. It is a practical tool in the meal planning and evaluation of meal planning. A guide actually helps us to make healthy food choices, and it tells us all about the food groups our body needs and in what proportion to ensure good health. So let us define what is a food guide. Food guides, they are basically graphic representation of all or some of the messages of the dietary guidelines. They typically represent the recommended food groups in suggested proportions in a good diet. The messages about lifestyle, as recommendation of say regular physical activity or some warning signs, they can also be displayed in the food guide. The most common example of food guide are the shapes of say food pyramid and food plate. But some countries, they choose different food guides that are culturally specific to that population. And each country, and they have actually designed their own food pyramids and guides, and they use that for nutrition communication and for designing the nutritional strategies. Some countries, they have adapted their food guide for different populations, such as some indigenous people. Let's see some food guides. This is Fiji's pineapple shaped food guide. This is more of a healthy lifestyle guide. In addition to urging people to eat fruits, vegetables, tubers, and proteins, these guidelines, they actually suggest and highlight the importance of exercise and drinking water. And similarly, if we see, this is Japanese food guide, which is a spinning top. This inverts the common pyramid layout, placing the food groups that people should eat more at the top of the design rather than at the bottom. And similarly, United States, it has replaced the classic food pyramid with simple plate design in 2011. So, a food guide, it is a guide which is prepared in accordance with the recommended dietary allowance. It is meant to be used for the general healthy population, and it is a guide for the amount and the type of food which can be included in our daily diet. Why do we need a food guide? We need food guide first of all to plan our meal, as it will help us in choosing the food from different food groups, and it will tell us the portion size which we should include in our daily diet. And secondly, we need them for meeting the dietary needs of different members of our family, as all of our family members, they have nutritional needs which are different from one another. Our mother, they need some different nutrients, our father, they need different nutrients, and same is true for the kids in the family. So to prepare adequate meals, we need such guides so that their nutritional needs are properly met. And thirdly, we need food guides for the evaluation of present dietary intake, and in case there is any need, we can modify it. Many a times we have to monitor our intakes. We may be eating more or less than what we actually require. So these guides, they can actually help us in modifying the diet if there is any requirement. And lastly, we need these food guides to check the diet plans of the institutions. Now, there are institutions such as hospitals, then there are school canteens, there could be college mess, or there could be a hotel or an old age home. All these institutions, they cater to different set of populations. So the meal plans according to the needs of the population, they can be designed and checked with the help of these guides. And what are the different type of food guides which are available to us? We can use food pyramids, and food plate is a very good food guide. And along with that, we can use the nutrition education which is provided through various channels. And along with that, certain health professionals, they seek the food guidance from various sources, such as we have nutrient requirements for Indians. It is a guide which is designed by ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, known as RDA 2020. And then we have Indian food composition tables. They can actually help us to know the nutritional value of various foods. The first type of food guide is food pyramid. A food pyramid or a diet pyramid, it is a triangular diagram. It represents the optimal number of servings to be taken each day from each of the basic food groups. Now let's study about our Indian food pyramid. India uses a number of graphical elements to represent the messages of its guidelines. And one of it is, which we are seeing, that is the food pyramid, which has been designed by ICMR in 2011. As we can see, this pyramid is divided into four levels, and they are four levels. They are on the basis of the recommended consumption. This is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3, and this is level 4. So the first level is cereals and legumes and beans. They are at the base of this pyramid. It indicates that it should be eaten in the sufficient quantity. We need to eat this food group to get sufficient energy and to meet the protein needs, especially in case of the vegetarian people. This group also provides invisible fats. Then it contains vitamin B complex, it contains folic acid, iron, and fiber. The second level is vegetables and fruits. It should be eaten liberally as they are rich sources of vitamins, minerals, fibers, and they also contain antioxidants. And we all know they have immense health benefits. That is why it is written as they should be eaten liberally. And the third level, it contains animal source foods and oils. So this is a combination of two food groups, and they are to be eaten moderately. This food group is needed to meet the needs of proteins, fats, certain B complex vitamins, especially vitamin B12. Along with that, we need it for meeting the needs of iron, and these fats and oils, they provide some fat soluble vitamins and essential fatty acids. And at the apex, as we can see, it contains all the highly processed food items which are high in sugar, salt, or fat, and they should not be eaten in the regular interval, and they should be eaten in very small portions whenever we are eating. As we know, they have very harmful effects on our health if we continue eating them. And accompanying this pyramid, there are recommendations to do regular physical activity. As we can see, here is a sun sign which depicts that we should go for some outdoor physical activities so that we get plenty of sunshine and to get good amount of vitamin D, and along with that we get so many other health benefits of increased physical activity. And in the last of this pyramid, we can see some warning signs. They are against the smoking and drinking alcohol, and it recommends that people should abstain from both of these. That means drinking and this smoking, they are going to be harmful for our health. Let us see the food plate which has been given by ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, in 2011. According to ICMR, the balanced diet, it is one which provides all the nutrients in required amounts and in proper proportions. So it can be achieved through a blend of basically using four basic groups. The quantities of the food needed to meet the nutrient requirement, it actually varies with the age, gender, physiological condition, and it is recommended that the balanced diet should provide around 50 to 60% of the total calories from the carbohydrates, that too from preferably complex carbohydrates, and about 10 to 15% from proteins, and 20 to 30% both from the invisible and visible type of fat. In addition, it is recommended that the balanced diet should provide non-nutrients such as dietary fiber, antioxidants, then phytochemicals. They have other positive health benefits. Then some good antioxidants such as vitamin C, vitamin E, beta carotene, riboflavin, and selenium, they protect us from free radical damage. And other phytochemicals such as polyphenol, flavones, they actually protect us from the other oxidant damage. And it also recommends to use spices like turmeric, ginger, garlic, cumin, and cloves because they are rich in antioxidants. So if we see this thali, we can see in the middle of the four food groups, there is a balanced thali. So it contains food from four food groups. These are cereal, millets and pulses. The second one is vegetables and fruits. Third is milk products and egg, meat and fish. And fourth is oil, fats, nuts and oil seeds. Now let us see what is my healthy plate for the day. This is our latest food plate, and it says no food or nutrition supplement can provide as many micronutrients, bioactive compounds, and antioxidants together as diverse food items which are depicted in one model plate. And this plate actually illustrates the proportion of foods from different food groups to be sourced for a 2000 kilocalorie Indian diet. It is also known as a model plate. Moving beyond what we see in the previous my plate concept, in which we saw that the foods, they were divided in the four subgroups. Here, this plate, which is again designed by ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, it recommends that we should source the macronutrients and micronutrients from minimum 8 food groups as daily, where vegetables, fruits, green leafy vegetables, they are forming essentially half plate of the recommended food per day. As we can see here, the fruits and vegetables, they are making practically the half of our healthy plate. And the other major portion, it is occupied by the cereals and millets. As we can see here, it is followed by the pulses, milk, and curd. This menu provide good quality protein and supply all the essential amino acids. And milk and milk products, they are represented in a glass as a part of this model plate. They help in achieving the requirement of protein and calcium, and they are sole source of vitamin B12 in a vegetarian diet. This balanced diet should provide 50 to 60% of calories from carbohydrates, preferably from complex carbohydrates, about 20 to 30% from fats and oils, and minimum 10% to 15% from the proteins. So this my plate concept, it provides typically 13.5% of energy from the protein part, and 29% of energy from the fats, and 56% of total energy from the carbohydrates in our 2000 kilocalorie diet. Along with food guide pyramid and food plates, what we have seen before in the earlier slides, nutrition education is another important food guide which is actually needed in uplifting the health status of a population. And whenever we are looking for a good health information, and whenever we are looking for modification of the existing diet pattern, this nutrition education comes very handy. What happens if we do not select right food? These nutrition education practices from various sources can be actually beneficial. Now, this nutrition education we can get either on one-on-one basis. For example, if we visit some healthcare professional or a nutrition specialist, we can seek answers of our many queries, and we can always take the guidance to select the right kind of foods, or to modify our existing dietary pattern. And similarly, we can always seek the advice from the authentic sources, authentic government sources, which always tell us that what kind of food is considered good for maintaining good level of our health. This is an example of nutrition education material which is available on the internet and available through the various government channels. This shows that eat right and choose a healthy life. As we can see, it is suggesting that we should replace this kind of food stuff which is rich in fats, which is rich in salt and sugar, and we should replace it with the healthy fresh and nutritious food items. So, along with using the food guide pyramid, food plate, and then some other nutrition education material, we can also seek the similar guidance from the food exchanges also. They are useful guides which bring variety in our diet, and they are actually helpful in breaking the monotony. And as we know, in a family, we have different members and they have different food choices. Some would like to eat one kind of food, whereas other would like to have some other kind of food. So this word exchange, it refers to the food item in each list which may be substituted with other food item in the same list. So these food exchanges, they are basically the lists which contain foods having similar kind of nutrient value. So one exchange, it is approximately equal to another in carbohydrate, calories, proteins and fats within each food list. We shall be exploring about the food exchanges in our next lecture. So let's summarize what we have studied in this lecture so far. We had studied about the concept of food guide. We studied that the guide is designed in accordance with the recommended dietary allowance. They are meant to be used by the journal Healthy Population, and it is a guide for the amount and type of food which should be included in our daily diets. Then we studied that why do we need these food guides? We studied that we need food guides to plan meals, to meet the dietary needs of different members of our family, to evaluate the present dietary intake and modify it if there are any need, and then check diet plans of the institutions. Then we studied about our Indian food guide pyramid. This pyramid, it is divided into the four levels of foods according to the recommended consumption. We studied that the base of this pyramid contains the food group, that is cereal, legumes and beans, which should be eaten in the sufficient quantity. And the second level we studied is vegetable and fruits on the level number 2, which should be eaten liberally. The third level was of animal protein foods and oils, which can be eaten in moderation. Then at the apex, we saw the food items which are highly processed, which contain loads of salt and sugar and oil. So they are to be eaten sparingly. And along with that, we saw that in that pyramid, there was a recommendation for a regular physical activity, and there is a warning sign which indicates that we should abstain from smoking and drinking alcohol. Then we studied about the food plate concept. Here we saw that there is in the to create a good thali, which is a balanced thali, we need to include food from basic four groups. So what are these basic four groups? It should contain cereal, millets and pulses. The second group is we have to choose food from vegetables and fruits. Third is we should choose the food from milk and milk products, eggs, meat and fish. And last is oil, fats, nuts and oilseeds. So a combination of these four food groups were recommended to create a healthy food plate. And then we studied this modern healthy plate for the day. It is a model plate which illustrates proportion of foods from different food groups which should be sourced for 2000 kilocalorie Indian diet. It recommends sourcing of macronutrients and micronutrients from minimum 8 food groups per day, and they are vegetables, fruits, green leafy vegetables, which will actually form half plate of the recommended foods daily. And the other major portion occupied is cereal and millets, followed by pulses and then milk and curd. Then we studied about nutrition education. We studied that it is an important guide to improve the nutritional status of a population. We can take this type of guidance either through one-on-one interaction when we talk to some health expert or a nutrition expert, and secondly, we can get this kind of guidance through various authentic channels. And then lastly, we studied about exchange lists. We studied that it is a word exchange which refers to the food items on each food list, which can be substituted with another food item on the same food list. And one exchange of that food will approximately give us same amount of carbohydrate, calories, proteins, and fats within each food of that list. And it is a useful tool which will help us in breaking the monotony and adding to the variety in our diet. So this finishes our lecture that is on food guides. We shall be exploring further on the food exchange list in the next lecture. Thank you very much.